the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Hello, God bless America, and welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. You will notice that there is a new logo for Freedom of Thought, so I thought I'd do a little bit of a brand change. Because the other one I kind of generically just put like an American flag up there, and then also generically just kind of threw some text on top of it with that interesting like teal color. It was okay, it worked and everything, it works, but I wanted to have something a little bit more, I guess you could just say like a little bit extra to it, so to speak. And plus the fact that this is not going to be just politics. Of course, we are going to talk politics on this show for the rest of time, basically, as long as I can talk into a microphone pretty much. So, yes, we're going to talk politics, but not all the time, not the whole show, that type of thing. Like I was saying, like you see in the description and such, the show's kind of, it's evolving a bit into, some, obviously biblical history, sciences and such, obviously biblical science, not like, we don't support global warming here on Freedom of Thought. I'm sorry, we just don't. If you'd like that, well, good for you, I guess. I did have a very snide response towards my global warming lie episode that came out about a year ago. Very snide, basically telling me how I don't know anything. I'm saying everything based on assumptions and such, and it's like, sure, whatever you say. It's impossible to respond to people like that. To them, it's literally their religion. Their God is global warming, basically. So, and that, what, you don't think Black Lives Matter? I think every life matters. So that would include Black lives. Yes, Black lives do matter, but every life matters. I don't like the attitude and the chip on their shoulder behind all of that. Plus the fact that the group itself doesn't give a crap about black people or anyone else. They're just there to make money. That's all they're there for, is to basically gain. They're there for gain, which also the leaders of this whole global warming nonsense are all about the entire time. They always have been and always will be. Why do you think Al Gore didn't make a gigantic stink necessarily about losing the election? He put up enough of a stink to make it interesting. The whole Bush, how like ultra close it was, and possibility that there was cheating and such going on. But how he didn't really make the biggest stink you could imagine because, we have other plans, and you get to be the leader, and you're going to be a billionaire, basically, or close to it. So, yeah, the only stink he made was pretty much an act when you think about it. It's all a scam, a massive scam, a big money grab, just like COVID-19, all of that. Obviously, it was a real virus. I had it. It's a real virus. It's a real nasty flu that lasts, like a week to 2 weeks. But at the same time, it was a money grab. It was a massive money grab, a way to take advantage of people, and that's just the sad truth. So I better get going on to that. Who knows? But, yep. A huge shout-out, of course, to the Final Hour podcast, of course. Yes, I messaged into them not too long ago. Jim Hammond, of course, and Linnea Farrell. Obviously, again, huge shout-out to you, just in case you happen to be listening. You might be, you might not be, but just in case you are, obviously you do a wonderful job on the Final Hour podcast, which does come from the original Living Word Christian Center in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. They always say Minneapolis, but yeah, it's Brooklyn Park. It's just Minneapolis is kind of a general thing, like Golden Valley's Minneapolis. Yeah, I guess it is. But I'd rather say the actual suburb of Minneapolis, which is Golden Valley. So, yeah, that's where that show comes from, and we talk about a lot of similar things, like, of course, the borders and such. What a absolute joke that is! How evil Biden is, and all this, this woke agenda and such. We could go on all day with that, and of course, that's going to be a huge part of the show forever. But also get into that interesting parts of the Bible. Obviously, the whole Bible is interesting, but like and specifically like anything like Daniel, Revelation, Genesis is a big one for me nowadays, obviously with a lot of the giants conversation and such. About a year or 2 years ago already, I bought a gigantic book, boom, 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 it's heavy. It's a giant, like the book is a giant too. Genesis 6 Giants, revised, updated, and expanded. Genesis 6 Giants by Stephen Quayle. It's a beast, it's massive. And then also, again, you also have Ryan Pitterson with the Judgment of the Nephilim and the Final Judgment of the Nephilim. So great books. And, I'm very into a lot of that history and such, and current and future and all that when it comes to interesting things going on. Like, again, like I said, aliens and the woke agenda. Like, that stuff is real. It's real. It's not aliens from Mars or, the planet, whatever, Clarion, like in Garfield or something, just messing around. It's demonic. It's demonic. I wish it wasn't, but it is. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. It's all a big deception. And it's not just the evil government, or the government is evil, but the government's not really capable of that necessarily. And that's kind of what they're trying to be capable of, is what these people are. And that's, how a lot of evil men rose to power in the past, starting with Nimrod way back in the day, and others that were nameless in, before the flood, like the days of Noah and such. Now I'm kind of going down 15 rabbit holes at once, and people trying to call me. Are you kidding me? It figures, right? But no, I hope you like the new logo, like the brand change. It's kind of like imagining the Minnesota Wild locally here, going with kind of that North Star color look. That's like a rebranding, So yeah, they haven't really done that. It's like a third jersey, but it's a great third jersey. But that's kind of like what I'm doing. It's like a rebranding, and I hope you enjoy it. It might have more and more of a look coming up. But yeah, it's like, imagine like, say, yeah, you're going through a forest, and, your mind just wanders. And, it's like a mist. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Your mind wanders with their thoughts, thinking about history. And, man, what happened here in this forest 100 years ago? What happened 300 years ago? What happened 3,000 years ago? What was going on here? Were giants walking around in this forest? This could also be could it be what things looked like during the Civil War? Could it be what things looked like during the Revolutionary War? You just have all these cool thought processes like American history, and then you have North American history again, which could involve, giants that were here, absolutely were here. Physical evidence everywhere supports that, and has been covered up by Smithsonians for a long time, unfortunately, going back into the 1800s and such. Native Americans that battled against them. There's all kinds of conversations and histories and legends with that. So it's fascinating stuff. Our current situation in the government, of course, now I'm bouncing everywhere, but that's how it goes, involves like what's happening with Trump versus Nikki Haley. Of course, again, Nikki Haley has not won a single state, so it's kind of like, why doesn't she just simply step down? That would be a good idea, I think. Like, it's no disrespect. I don't support her. Unfortunately, she is exactly what you would call a rhino. She's exactly what you would call a deep state Republican, like not a good Republican, a deep state one, like George W. Bush, like George H.W. Bush. I don't have a good feeling about George H.W. Bush. He was a much better speaker than W. W seems like a nicer overall person, but at the same time, is he a good guy? No, he basically was like a thorn in Trump's side the whole time that Trump was in office. That would be Donald J. Trump, President 45 and hopefully President 47 coming up. So he could be like Grover Cleveland, but a much better version, I guess. Hopefully, because in modern times, we need a president like Donald Trump. He's kind of more like a modern Reagan type with a little more of a snarky attitude, because instead of being from California, Donald Trump is from New York. A little different personality than California, even though Reagan was just amazing. Absolutely amazing, to say the least. Also, last time I rudely did not get to the mailbag with Mark Carlson. I'm absolutely going to get to that, so I apologize. One other thing I also should mention, again, back to the Giants and such. I have another book coming, and I'm going to probably refer to some interesting stuff there with the Native Americans and such. The book is called The Red-Haired Giants of Lovelock Cave and Other Ancient Mysteries by Floyd Wills. So can't wait till that gets here. That's going to be really cool. And red-haired giants, yeah, they were, very large and very nasty, very evil, and of course very dangerous as well. I mean, really dangerous. Anyhow, I guess we're going to we're going to venture back to the Trump situation with Nikki Haley again. I mean, he's undefeated, hasn't lost a single state. Remember last time around, it was a huge, nasty mess. Interesting. Yeah, last time around, it was a huge, nasty mess with, all the different guys like, what was it, Ted Cruz and Rubio, Marco Rubio and such. So that was an interesting back and forth type of deal, but yeah, Trump hadn't been president yet. People didn't really know. Ted Cruz was a definite front runner for a while there. Even Ben Carson was a front runner who dropped off, but we'll see. I also did get a question from Donna Aspinwall as well, locally in Coon Rapids. Hopefully I'm saying the right city, right? No, it's Coon Rapids, right? Because she's moved a couple times. I know she was in Brooklyn Park, kind of on the edge there for a while. Champlin, actually. Right? Champlin, not Coon Rapids. It was like Champlin. Yes. So, yes, there's a question. That was actually on Spotify, which is actually the first time I've gotten one of those. So, better get to that and not forget, dang it. But I believe that one's regarding possible vice presidential ideas. I'm kind of, we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, Trump, again, Nikki Haley hasn't won a single state. Every state is like 70, like one of these, like a national one, New York Times, Siena College, Trump 77, Haley 20, Texas, Trump 75, Haley 17, California 75-17, Washington 77-8. Apparently DeSantis as well was hanging around for some reason. I guess he still got some votes even though he wasn't running anymore. Interesting, but I mean that happens. People are still going to maybe put them in there, and that's fine. I mean, I like DeSantis, okay. I mean, but right now it's the election of Trump, and there's no reason why Trump should not be president after obviously the unbelievable disaster of Joe Biden, the endless corruption, and even the fact Obama wants him out of the way, but to get some other ultra corrupt and powerful Democrat in office, like a Newsom, maybe even Big Mike. That'd be Michelle Obama. Obviously, Big Mike. Read between the lines there as to what that could mean. There's all kinds of weird conversation about that, but I won't get too heavy into that at the moment. A while back, about when the last show was released, South Carolina, Trump beat Haley even in South Carolina, which is pretty embarrassing. Like, why don't you just but unfortunately she's there pretty much as a Democrat plant. I mean, she pretty much is. There's a reason why she's still hanging around, to be a headache. In a lot of ways, like a reverse version of that would have been like Ron Paul hanging around in 2008 to get the message out. Like, hey, this is like King's, I mean, this is like Coke versus Pepsi. Like, yay, like, boy, like, it's not really, like, both are bad for you. I'm the good guy here. Both of these are like New World Order, scumbags that aren't going to help you. Like, Obama and McCain. Like, McCain was a scumbag. Romney was basically King Saul. That was like in a prophecy. Like, that Romney was basically like he was a King Saul. A tall, handsome man. That was no good, basically. And that God would bring up a disruptor, somebody you're not expecting, and that was Donald Trump. So, and that he would get 2 terms. That was also part of that prophecy from Jeremiah Johnson, and that doesn't mean that Jeremiah Johnson gave us false information. Trump just may very well get 2 two terms after all, especially if especially that whole Babe Ruth almost getting struck out by a tall, slender giant, or a tall, slender demon, kind of like a giant, but really tall and slender demon. Obama. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of like that, but it wasn't, Obama in his dream anyway, in that he was going to strike him out. That was the picture, like all the crap that's gone against Trump, like legal nonsense that's gone against Trump and been thrown in his direction. And then here comes the fastball. All of a sudden, God slows the ball down, and Trump crushes that thing into the upper deck, and rock and roll. Biggest home run ever. And that could be exactly what we're looking at in November 2024, if there indeed is an election. And I do believe there will be. A lot of people think, I don't know, there's going to be an election. We're not going to let these clowns crush us. We're not going to let these clowns completely take over this country. Obviously, the border is an absolute nightmare. It's frightening. It's awful. Heck, you go to the park nowadays, you don't even know what country you're in anymore. And I'm not trying to come off as some racist, xenophobe, whatever, but you don't know what country you're in anymore. I mean, like, who the heck, what the heck is it? Like nobody there's even speaking English. It's weird. So like, I went to the park today. It's beautiful, and it was going on all summer last year and such. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I'm not trying to come off as a xenophobe, but put it this way: would these people like it if they went to their country in the park and the whole place was basically everything but them? It's kind of weird, you know. It's kind of weird. That's all. Anyhow, apologize if I'm coming off as a bad person, but I guess so be it, huh? I'm going to try to see if I can take up some conversation here now. Obviously, interesting. Obviously, questions and such. Obviously, questions and conversation. I apologize. I thought I had this up, and I don't, and I'm annoyed with myself at the moment. And yes, I did find it. And yep, it's Donna Aspinwall. It doesn't show her. Oh, yeah, it does. So she says, and yes, and do this some more if you can. Yep, looks like she put Spotsy 78. Yep, that might be, I think, the year. Yep, like I was born in 79. She's a little tiny bit older, like my brother's age. Hi, Joey. As we continue to see Trump dominate the primaries, talk is going to turn to a VP running mate. Any thoughts on who you think he will pick? I wouldn't mind like a Ramaswamy. Obviously, I don't think DeSantis is going to happen, but wouldn't that be something? Apparently, one of the people from Trump himself that's on the short list is Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, who's done he's at least fought the battles and such. So appreciate that for the most part. Elise Stefanik, that'd be an interesting one, I suppose. Carolina Tim Scott. Yeah, that's one I've heard a lot of good things. That'd be South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. And, well, there you go. And let's see, Kristi Noem, that's another one. Not bad there. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, that's other possibility. So, Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She was a part of things. And former HUD Secretary Dr. Ben Carson, I think he'd be wonderful. Older guy, but so is Trump. Trump's older, obviously, but very healthy, very energetic. Tim Scott is one I've heard a lot of good things about, that he might be actually a wonderful addition. And the other thing, again, and this has nothing to do with Tim Scott being like inner city, because he's not. He's not an inner city type of person, at least that I know of. But just saying that the inner city, though, is realizing the Democrat Party, including their great god, Barack Obama, with a small g, of course, Barack Obama, didn't give a crap about them. What did Barack Obama do for black people, other than just throw gasoline on the fire? Just be as divisive and a piece of, just a jackass, an ultra jackass. Anytime anything bad happened, he, regarding like a police officer or something, he would throw gas on the fire and run his mouth and motivate people to go crazy. And pretty much, what do you think Barack Obama is still doing to this day? Especially when he basically parked himself right there in Washington, D.C., like a plant, like the demon he is, just staying in Washington, D.C. Oh, gee, what could he possibly be doing there? Ronald Reagan went back to California, Donald Trump went anywhere but Washington, D.C. Did he hang out there to be an agitator? No, he didn't. But Barack Obama do that? Oh, yeah, to be pulling the strings behind the scenes with all these evil people and such. But truly, the man did nothing good for this country, nothing good to unite, say like, well, I don't even want to use the word minority anymore. What minority? What minority? Everybody's, I don't even know if there's such thing anymore. It's just whatever. People are people. That's all. Let's see. But what I'm trying to say is, again, that people are waking up in the inner cities and such and saying, what did Joe Biden do for us? What did Barack Obama do for us? What did Bill Clinton do for us? Seriously, what did he really honestly do for us? Going all the way back to LBJ, who said, basically, I'll have these ends voting for us for the next 100 years. And, by creating the Great Society. All it's really done is making people lazy and more dependent on the government and just say, I don't have to do jack squat, basically. I can just get a handout. And obviously these people crossing the border illegally are being able to live in, there's conversations of them being able to live in $200 a night hotels for, it's been like months now, and with no end in sight, taxpayer funded, of course. Free meals every single day, all day, free meals all day, as much food as they want. And are they looking for a job? No. Why should I? It's just complete bullcrap. But no, Tim Scott, I think, would be, now back to Tim Scott after those 4 rabbit holes, I think would be a pretty nice VP candidate at the end of the day. I think he could be. I think he'd be a nice VP candidate. He'd be one of my top choices. Greg Abbott, sure. I don't know how New World Order-ish he is. That's what scares me a little bit. Because it's like 1 minute, you know, I think generally he's good. But I know in the past he seemed a little bit more rhino-ish. But he's been pretty good the past few years. And he's definitely been making a stand about this whole sanctuary city bullcrap. Like, no, we're not doing this. Get out of here, you know. You're not going to force us to do this. Like, get the heck out of here, basically, at the end of the day. So that's kind of the stance there. Greg Abbott, yep. I think he's, he'd be a strong candidate. He's basically dismissing it like, no, that's like not really something I'm thinking about right now, because he's got enough to worry about at the moment being the governor of Texas. It's a pretty big state with a very large border on the south of it. Again, Doug Burnham, North Dakota. I don't know too much, but generally speaking, North Dakota, obviously a very conservative place, and that's wonderful. Really appreciate them in a lot of ways. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders, obviously she was a part of things. I can't see her as a VP. Ben Carson, maybe, but I doubt it. Obviously Trump and him were allied very very early and often, after they were kind of rivals for a little while in the early days of the primaries of 2015. They were rivals because Carson was like number 2 behind Trump, so they were rivals. But then as Carson's polls dropped, Carson decided, I'm going to step away and support Donald Trump. And ever since they've been fairly close at the end of the day. So I'd say he's a decent candidate, but I doubt he's going to do it. I'm leaning towards Tim Scott and maybe Greg Abbott, I suppose. If you want to get, obviously conservative female like Elise Stefanik from New York. Interesting. So it'd be on two New Yorkers. That'd be kind of cool in a lot of ways. But she's been a fierce defender. Number 4 House Republican. This is CBS, but she was one of the first members of Congress to endorse Trump when he announced his 3rd bid for the White House. So 39 years old, a little bit younger than me. So that's kind of cool. But a New Yorker. So that would be kind of cool to have 2 New Yorkers standing up for this country. Interesting. So yes, she's definitely on the right path of things for the most part. Okay, so great question, of course, and now we have some names out there to talk about. We'll see how things go. I wouldn't be disappointed with any of those 2 or 3 that were mentioned. Post these again, Donna. That'd be great to hear from you. I apologize that I didn't, get back on that sooner. I blanked out, and I deeply apologize. So yes, and the more often you do it, the more I'll get used to it. And anybody else out there that might use Spotify, if you just interact on there, it'll you go to the episode and it'll say questions. You could put it in there, basically like what did you think of this episode? Just respond there, like whatever you want to say. So greatly appreciated. To the Instagram, I don't think there's any comments on Facebook, but I'm going to go there as well for some other stories and conversations going on there. Of course, you have to bump the button a few times to get to the right one. Video Game Flashback also had a little facelift to the logo, a bit of a brand change as well. It looks more like retro video gaming. That's another podcast I do. But this one I think is a really nicely timed brand change here. So let's see if I can find some comments. Yep, there's a couple. February 2nd. Yeah, see, I didn't read them, I believe, on the previous episode. So I'm going to read them now. Yep, this is in February. It's a big one. Oh, that's big. So I'm going to read them because I got a feeling I didn't. Okay, so this was back in February. Mark Carlson says, been hearing a lot of talk about nuclear war, and without getting deep into the topic, this is a wide area one could talk about. I want to ask a question, then make a statement. Why would the U.S. or anyone else need to use a nuclear weapon? After asking that, I will go on to ask why. Would any nation use a tactical or anything like that? Yes, maybe it's complicated. Let me say that in no way is a small nuclear weapon any more threat than a gigantic nuclear weapon. And as I type this, we have giant nuclear weapons at the ready, 24/7, 365 days a year, ready to serve death and destruction planet-wide. Death and distribution, but destruction, yep. They are already a threat to all countries and that threat doesn't have to be put on another nation's border at all. There are submarines with missiles that carry warheads of nuclear firepower, and the submarines could be anywhere on any coastal border. The Russians have them, the Americans have them. So my point is that the Americans move some tactical bombs. I don't see how it tips the scales. I can see how upset it makes people and governments. But in the age of push-button welfare, I personally don't understand. The threat exists to use weapons with or without theater deployments of smaller yield weapons. The U.S. inventory of the B-61 tactical nuclear bomb is 230 weapons. And that number is an estimated 100. Of that number, an estimated 100 are already deployed to foreign nations under the control of the IS Air Force. That was maybe yep. That must be Israel, huh? Turkey 20, Belgium 20, Netherlands 15, Germany 15, Italy 35. Source from armscontrolcenter.org. And think about those locations. They already exist in Russia's backyard, and I guarantee they know it. Personally, this is a European problem. Where is their leadership? How prepared are the countries in Europe? Are the countries in Europe committed to their own defense, or are they going to rely on NATO and the United States? Yikes. Fact. The USA is a target for Russian weapons 24/7, 365 without putting tactical weapons in Canada or Mexico. Just what are the news people worried about? Lastly, I would love to hear the news media cite their sources for these stories. Joey, what are your thoughts? Mark from Iowa. Well, at the end of the day, it's... Oh, the Wolves lost by 1 point. You got to be kidding me. That figures. Sorry about that. But no, at the end of the day, my thoughts are, holy cow. We're just playing with fire. I think we're playing with fire, and it's the last thing we ultimately need at the end of the day is to be playing with fire. Russia is not somebody to be, poking the bear with. It's an absolute travesty. It's scary. And, of course, you have a president in Joe Biden and the Democrat Party that absolutely want to poke Russia since the days of Bill Clinton. Barack Obama did the same. Bush, I don't know what he did. I have no idea. I think Bush was kind of poking Russia as well, but not as much as Clinton and Obama. And then Trump was like saying, hey, why do we want to fight with them when they're actually our allies versus ISIS at the time? When Trump and Putin worked together to wipe out ISIS, ISIS got wiped out. You don't hear about ISIS anymore. So it's like things like that. Like, why would you want to poke the bear, especially in times like this when, like you said, we have weapons where it's like push-button theater. So that could cause billions of deaths. Like, you might as well have Terminator 2 happen, basically. And it might, anyway. Or Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, or whatever. It's with all this AI stuff, we got to do a show about that one of these days. Oh my goodness. That is literally like a time bomb waiting to go off, this whole AI thing. And some really creepy stuff about, oh my goodness, really creepy stuff about, what was it, this kid that spoke to this AI whatever, and it continued to say that it's like it used to be a giant many years ago and all that, and for its god Lucifer. Holy crap. And it just kept going and going and going. Like, obviously it's demonic. Like, it was a demonic force tapping into this AI device. And we're talking creepy stuff. So we'll get into that later. Next one. Mark Carlson says, good episode. I don't know why the NFL is focused on this. That would be like, the Super Bowl and such with frickin' Taylor Swift. I don't know why the NFL is focused on this. It must be good for ratings, and thus its money. I will add that I don't recall any other NFL player having so much attention to who they are dating. Maybe some hype out Brady and his wife, but not like this. Who was Joe Montana's girlfriend? No one knows. Yeah, exactly. No one cares. Jim McMahon, no idea. Why? It doesn't matter. And I suppose, Joey, if the Chiefs were not in the playoffs and not in the big game, this would die off. Of course, this will carry over to next season now, and it sucks. I'm not looking forward to it at all. I think you're right, though. Yeah, it really sucks. I don't want to think about that anymore. I'm so sick of them. Never liked Travis Kelce, and I really don't. Or I never liked Taylor Swift, and I stopped liking Kelce years ago. Next one. So this one's brand new. Like hours ago. This is Mark Carlson, again, strikeforce.92 on Instagram. Traveled to Omaha for the weekend. Right now in the lobby, there is a very large TV with the Weather Channel on, and the headline is Texas Wildfire, Largest in U.S. Modern History. Is that a play to promote the idea that we modern people are bad? Yep, it's just more global warming crap. And it's like, yeah, I was looking in the sky and I'm thinking, the sky's blurry already in like late February into early March. It's just getting ridiculous. And we all know that this blurriness is like combating their whole global warming bull crap. It's just one thing after another. Like the fires that happened last year were off the charts. It's one thing after another, not just the fires, but obviously the chemtrails and such that are real, absolutely real. Because why is the sky always blurry? Even when there isn't a fire, there's always a blurriness in the sky that wasn't there before. So it's an extreme frustration, no doubt about it. So is my throat. It seems like I'm constantly struggling with that. So I got to all the comments. That's like your mailbag and such. I hope you like the brand change with the logo. I certainly am pleased with it so far. Let me know what you think. Donna, anybody out there? Obviously, Mark Carlson, Gerald String, I know he liked it on the Facebook page, but so it's on the Facebook page, of course, as well, and the Instagram. And, of course, you're seeing it right now, looking into things. Huge shout out to Ray from Kentucky. I did jump in later on and censored the swearing a little bit because I know there's there's Christians from the church listening, and yeah, I mean, if we can tone down the swearing a little bit, I'd appreciate it. I don't, it's fun, and I understand your passion is off the charts. I don't mean swearing is fun necessarily, but I understand your passion. I don't mean it like it's fun. I understand, you're not really trying to be fun. You're being serious. And I understand your insane frustration with the government and such. And what's been going on with the liberals and all of that. But yeah, I mean, if anybody, when people call in, if you can tone down the cursing a little bit, I'd appreciate it. It's probably for the best of the show at the end of the day, though. I mean, it's just kind of how it is. I think I don't want to necessarily scare some people away thinking that, we're just going to curse like crazy. So other than that, though, I mean, Ray, you're awesome. I love your calls so much. Absolutely love your calls. And I agree with you 100% on your frustrations with, just the complete garbage, the bull crap going on out there with, Biden, Obama, liberals going back to LBJ and even before that. But that's really when a lot of this really started, is dating all the way back to LBJ. So, and I don't mean LeBron James either, which is funny to think about. Okay, so to the Facebook page, there's some other topics as well. Again, this is a weird episode, but what do you expect? Lincoln made a quote many years ago that was insanely interesting when he was looking at the Niagara Falls and such. This is before he was president, I do believe. 1848. Ready? Lincoln says, the eyes of that species of extinct giants whose bones fill the mounds of America have gazed on Niagara as ours do now. Whoa. What did he say again? This is Abraham Lincoln, 100 years before my mom was born, by the way, 1848. So you can guess how old my mom is. Yeah, I know. Well, I don't think she's offended by that. The eyes of that species of extinct giants whose bones fill the mounds of America have gazed on Niagara as ours do now. Think about it. The mounds, the bones, giants' bones fill the mounds of America. Think about that. Abraham Lincoln. It's not a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy theory, folks. There were giants here. Abraham Lincoln even said it. And yes, a lot of that was more prominent in that time because it wasn't hidden as much. It was out there. And then, of course, over the years, like, giants, what are you talking about? I can imagine any, like, left-wing politician or just general public, somebody in public, giants. What are you talking about? Lord of the Rings? What do you think this is? What do you think this is? Lord of the Rings, Final Fantasy, Willow or something? Yeah, and even stuff like Cyclops, but that's another day. That's for a much later day. Cyclops, yeah. Yeah, we'll keep it to giants for now. Obviously, that's more biblical than, say, Cyclops. But, I mean, they're in the Bible, and they were here in the United States, and Abraham Lincoln knew it. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So I posted that. Unfortunately, nobody responded. I don't know if anybody's looking on the Facebook page much lately, and that's unfortunate. There were some times that people were looking at it a lot. I know Mark has been insanely frustrated with Facebook, so I'm sure, yep. So, Mark, if you prefer to continue to go on Instagram instead, yeah, totally fine. I mean, I'm going to keep checking it. And Donna, if you want to go on the Spotify or the Facebook page or the Instagram, whichever you prefer, you're 100% welcome to any and all the above. Love to keep hearing from Lee Hebner, Gerald String, of course. Call-ins, 100% welcome. Ray from Kentucky, you're the king of the calling. But obviously Mark is welcome. Gerald's welcome. Donna, you're welcome too. Lee Hebner, you're welcome. Anybody can call in. It'd be greatly appreciated. But how you call in, of course, is simply recording, like just, creating an audio submission. Record audio on your laptop, on your smart device with the smart recording app or whatever the heck you might use. And, yep, when you're done, just send it to paladinolive@yahoo.com, paladinolive@yahoo.com. Another image, the 2020, the George Floyd Taylor Swift called, where it's like a tuba being blown in somebody's face. Sounds about right. And then the change of the logo. One final thing that was mentioned on the Final Hour podcast today, kind of late in the show as well, more than 1 trillion cicadas will emerge in the U.S. in 2024. So it's going to be an unusual, very unusual year. This is from Time Magazine, of all places. So the beginning is more than 1 trillion cicadas. That's the bugs that buzz a lot during like the months of July. Usually, typically, yeah, I mean, they start usually early July and buzz around until like September-ish or so while it's warm out. That's, it's obviously a mating call. There were some years it was absolutely nuts where the buzzing never stopped, and other years where there's no buzzing at all. Well, this is going to be a bumper crop of cicadas like we've never seen in our entire lifetime. More than 1 trillion cicadas, trillion with a T. So let that sink in. More than 1 trillion cicadas will be coming to the U.S. in an event that has not happened since Thomas Jefferson was U.S. president in 1803. 2 adjacent broods of the red-eyed flying cicadas will emerge from the ground in April, and residents in the Midwest and Southeast should brace themselves for a season of high-pitched buzzing. Well, all right. Cicada broods often emerge together, the University of Connecticut says, but 2024 will mark the first time in more than 200 years that brood X, I'm not sure what they mean, XIX, that's it's a Roman number, and I'm just kind of going crazy, so we'll just say capital XIX, which arrives every 13 years, and brood, that would be 13. Okay, that would be brood 19 and brood 13. There we go. Which, okay, let me get back to this. 2024 will mark the first time in more than 200 years that brood 19, so that's like a breed, I guess, 19, which arrives every 13 years. Isn't that weird, too? Arrives every 13 years. And brood 13, which arrives every 17 years, will emerge at the same time. So it's kind of like a mathematical miracle. That happens every now and then. Well, not miracle, but like an anomaly. It's kind of like a super duper amazing eclipse or like a comet or something. The next co-emergence of these broods won't happen for another 221 years. So obviously I would think we'll be in the millennium by then. Interesting, man. Very interesting. What are cicadas? For more than a decade, cicadas, which are in the same family as stink bugs and bed bugs, live in underground burrows until they are mature enough to rise to the surface. Weeks before they are set to emerge, the insects create tunnels to the surface, but do not come out of their homes until soil temperatures at a depth of 7 to 8 inches are about 64 degrees Fahrenheit. So around here, that's probably June, July-ish, basically. So whereas like south of here, could be a bit earlier. And plus this really warm spring, early spring, late winter, whatever we're having, who knows. Cicadas are unique because of their lengthy lifespan. Isn't that amazing? Yep, they have the lengthy lifespan, but they don't live long once they emerge from the ground. Yeah, see, that's the part you only see. But the earlier life, they're underground for a long time. They're like those big Yeah, they're those white worms you see sometimes in stumps, I believe. No, that's a different bug. Excuse me. I'm really crazy. No, that's not them at all. They have only 4 to 6 more weeks to mate. Periodical cicadas are about 1 to 1.5 inches long, though their wingspan is about double that length. They can be distinguished by their orange-colored veins and large red eyes. They are often seen in different species of cicadas, 3 of which surface every 17 years, while the remaining broods emerge every 13 years. So this time it's kind of be everything at once. That's pretty much the whole anomaly. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be like clouds of cicadas and a lot of buzzing. They are harmless. They are absolutely harmless, and I like them very much. One of them landed on my shoulder when I was cutting grass years ago, mowing lawns like I still do all these years later. And I was like, oh, and then, oh, cool. I love these. They're amazing. I love cicadas, actually. If there's too many, it might be annoying, but I remember even as a kid, I just loved that buzzing sound. I never knew what it was until I saw an injured cicada who had a damaged wing flying around, and I caught it, and it got away in the kitchen for a minute, and I'm like, okay, so that's what makes that sound. That was, I think, in my early teens, in the early 90s, back in the day. So, pretty cool. Again, sorry if that went on so long, but again, freedom of thought, science, and interesting story. Very interesting story, and wow. So it's kind of basically like everything at once happening, and that's why it's so rare, because it's this one's every 13, this one's every 17, and then there's the ones that come up every year, and then kablooey, it's all at once. Wow. So it's going to be pretty cool, unless you hate cicadas, I guess. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not too bad. It's going to be a very buzzy summer. Maybe, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, if it's some kind of sign of something coming, but or it's just some kind of scientific coincidence, anomaly. We'll have to wait and see what happens. With that said, thank you so much for listening to the show. Again, Freedom of Thought, obviously on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Freedom of Thought 1776. The Twitter account is Freedom of Thou 76. Also on the Instagram. All of this should be in the show description, but again, if you want to submit a audio submission, just put that into, just send that to paladinolive@yahoo.com. Freedom_of_thought 1776. So I just wanted to make sure I'm giving you the right information. But again, it is in the show description. And of course, again, let me know what you think of the new logo. I can make some more changes as well, but we'll see. For now, I think this is pretty cool. If you absolutely hate it, just let me know. If you think it's the coolest thing ever, let me know. Would love to hear from you. With that said, have yourself a wonderful week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Easter's not too far away anymore. We're right in the middle of Lent season, so enjoy your fish, I guess. And have yourself again, wonderful Lent season, I suppose, even though I'm a born-again Christian. I'm not Catholic, but still take advantage of those fish deals, I guess, if you want some fish sandwiches and such. With that said, again, get your ears ready for some cicadas, apparently, as well, eventually, as the weather warms up and we head into summer. Take care, everybody. Again, please do put a positive rating if you could. The show needs algorithms. Share it. Tell your friends about the show. Share it. Repost it, whatever the word is. Positive ratings, 5-star on Apple or Spotify or whatever. And interact with the show as much as possible. Now that I've babbled enough, I'm going to sign off for today and talk to you next time. God bless the United States of America.